welcome to MC Toon, the worst rapper in the world. And darn, I usually try to have some rap to prove it, but I'm so bad I don't have any. But I always can have a guest rapper. Alexa, can you rap? Oh, nope. Come on.
Got my mind on a number, lucky number of mine. 3.14159. My day is pi day, diameter, circumference, infinite, irrational, without an encumbrance. Going round in circles, a revolving door. Feeling transcendental over 3.14. I'll take a slice of that never-ending pie, a never-ending slice. Oh me, oh my.
Wow. Thank you, Alexa. That was great. So, did you hear Alexa rapping? Was that loud enough? Yes, Alexa can wreck the flat earthers every day. How about this? Alexa, what's the shape of the earth?
The shape of the earth resembles a sphere, one that has been compressed at the poles and bulges outwards at the equator.
Oh, well, she knows. Take that. You guys maybe know Gleam. He's a mostly not flat earther, but he likes to do music is his passion. So I thought, well, let me play a little bit of his music. I listen to his stuff on Spotify. It's all reggae, and I don't listen to reggae too often, but it was pretty good. Gleam likes to argue nonsense. Yeah, he kind of gets into that. But here, let's see if we can hear this. I asked him. No, I'm hearing it, but you're not. Hold on, let me fix that.
Blood clot, fight for survival. Don't wanna be liable for the Bible when the sky falls. You know what I mean? Everything's recyclable, including each and every human being. Risky business, crossing over the misty bridges. I live down with a crowd of kids, kick shitless. Shifty little lippy nippers. I run my minutes and hippie figures. Beginning the demolition of anyone bigger than us. You can't get rid of us by killing us. We're chilling around the videos.
So there you go. There's some Gleam. If you go onto Spotify, he's everywhere. Yeah, that's Gleam. That's Gleam stuff. It's Gleam Royal Bloodline on Spotify. If you like reggae, I think you'll like it. Let me see if I can pull it up on Spotify here. I asked him what music would not come up with some copyright stuff, since it's kind of automatic. So Gleam can start as a car auctioneer. Yeah, he's fast. There's a couple of YouTube videos I saw of him just doing some stuff with no music. It's yep. Spotify. Yeah, he can do it. Let's see if I got it. There it is. Let me find it. Hold on. So you can see it. There it is. For some reason, I'm not logged in, so it won't show me this stuff. So there. Sorry. Anyway, Gleam, Royal Bloodline. Marty Moose. Gleam was actually a decent FE guy, if there's such a thing. Yeah, he says he's not a flat earther. So, and Mandelbrot set posted something with Gleam. I won't play that. Sorry. I gotta check stuff before. So anyway, I have a really fun thing. Back in 2007 was there were plenty. Still back then, plenty of conspiracy people that were into all sorts of the same nonsense, except nowadays they added in the more ridiculous flat Earth. Somebody's saying that ain't reggae. So sorry. Anyway, says Ancito Maldonado Jr. Sorry if I messed that up. That's not reggae, he says. So, anyway, back before the flat Earth was really a thing, was all sorts of crazy stuff still. So, I have here. Let's see if I can. No, that's not it. That's going to be too small. So, I'll put it. Hold on. So I was looking for Debbie Duran, who was maybe going to be another guest, but I haven't heard back from her. So I saw Debbie Duran had this video from D-Boots the Diva. And D-Boots the Diva is a very crazy conspiracy theorist. And I don't know if she's around anymore, but this video is just fantastic. I love it. We laughed about it when we found it initially. So, you gave me the link so I could invite Gleam to debate. Actually, Gleam and I are talking in about 2 or 3 weeks that we'll have a discussion. So, yeah, I still have not heard from MultiT0mt0m, who agreed last week to join me this week in debate. He did not send a message to me on email or on Discord, even though I gave him all that information. And sorry, I'm pouring myself some water in. Hold on, you want to see this? My Batman glass, right there. It's a mug. So MultiT0mt0m didn't. Oh, hey, Gleam. Gleam's in chat. There he is. So yeah, I for not listening to reggae a whole lot myself, I did enjoy it. It was good music. I think I probably listened to your album 10 times last week. I just put it on loop while programming. So there's some Gleam Royal Bloodline reggae code that I wrote last week. So there you go. Yes, Ancito, it is D-Boots the Diva. So here, let's watch this. It's, 20 years ago, we never noticed rainbows. It affects so profound.
Today, July 6th, 2007, about 4:30 p.m. I'm just wondering what the heck is in our water supply, what the heck is in our oxygen supply of metallic oxide salts that create a rainbow effect in a sprinkler. What is oozing out of our ground that allows this type of effect to happen? Not just around our sun and our moon anymore, everywhere we look. The visible spectrum is rainbows. This cannot be natural. We all know it wasn't something that happened 20 years ago, but now it's happening now. We as a nation have got to ask ourselves, what the hell is going on? What is oozing out of our ground?
So she thinks, there you go. She thinks there's a conspiracy because you can see rainbows in a sprinkler, and there's metallic alkalized salts coming out of the ground, whatever that means. So all right, Gleam and QED are talking. Let's see. I'm not when they scoop me up on tour and make my eyes let as in little light as possible. Must be something. Anyway. Yes, that's it's that terrible dihydrogen monoxide. It's everywhere. GPS. Everyone else, may your ICMP traffic suffer 0% packet loss. Thank you. I And I wish your pings well travels as well. All right, so sorry. D-Boots the Diva had back in the day had so many good videos like that was just all sorts of things, blaming every just regular natural phenomenon on things like that, crazy stuff. So Jose Gonzalez says, where's Multi? He did not show, so it's a no show for MultiT0mt0m. And I tried to reach out to Debbie Duran, but it was short notice, so I don't know. That's where I found D-Boots the Diva video that Debbie thought was I don't know if Debbie posted it because she thought it was legit. So see if Gleam will jump on into it. Yeah, he's Gleam is busy. That's okay. Well, Gleam and I are going to set something up for a couple weeks out, and we'll figure out a topic that makes sense for us. So yeah. Anyway, Junior, okay. Anacito, whatever, says, call me Junior. I'll call you Junior. I butchered your name pretty bad, sorry. I take it it's Hispanic somehow. So, yeah, Junior sounds good. MultiT0mt0m and Debbie D, you're a masochist. Yes, I guess. So, that's what I do. My pain is your pleasure. What was I gonna say? We're gonna talk FE Core for a bit if we want. If anybody wanted to join to talk, if they had things to say. So, Gleam says, I can. I've literally got work soon, but I have 2 weeks off on holiday from 23rd of September, so I'll have a good conversation with MC Toon. He don't lie like you do, so it should be good. All right. Girls, you're both pretty. All right. FE Core. I conveniently have a FE Core page on my website. mctoon.net/. Let's see. How did I? Nope. That wasn't it. There it is. FE-Core. Tell him he needs to Dartman, he's not QED, did you and that person settle your differences on the field of honor? That would be that guy. Well, I demonstrated a compass working as observed, and he just denies observations, calls it propaganda. So anyway, all right, so I have a look at the FE Core webpage. I made a little a logo for them if anybody wants we'll have to queue up a double stream when Reds gets his FE Core stream going. Yeah, well, if Reds is going to do it, maybe I'll just pop over there anyway. So anyway, yeah, well, I can, you know what? I can pull up the web. Why don't I just pull up the website and show it to you all? Then you don't have to go there. I don't know why I didn't think of that, so hold on. If anybody, you know, on D-Boots the Diva, if anybody knows if there's like an archive of her old videos, please find it. It's good stuff. And that in my website, there's my website, and that is Minneapolis, by the way, if nobody recognizes it. That's Minneapolis there. So, all right, FE Core, spelled slightly differently than maybe you were thinking. Cosmonaut 6, no, nobody has showed up. So, FE Core is fraudulently issuing privacy and copyright complaints. It seems they're uncomfortable with the truth getting published. This seems like a crybaby thing to do. Here's a logo that's not their logo, but it's a good one. There you go. It's similar, and it's very descriptive, I think. So, and then I have a list of several videos. There's a lot of people addressing FE Core. So, Tommy, you can You know English. Good. Yes, MultiT0mt0m did not show up. If anybody knows MultiT0mt0m, how to contact him, maybe you can tell him, hey, you committed to be here but didn't show. So, I don't know what else. I haven't followed it like really close. I saw Sean Hufford got another strike, I think. But you know, maybe I could go to their website and or their YouTube page, yeah, right, and see, because there's information that's public on there, right? Let's see, there it is on YouTube. Don't need their audio. So there it is. Become a member now. It's growing fast. It has doubled in the last 9 months. And our staff of engineers, who are these engineers? Has grown very qualified. They need help. So let's see. I wonder if like I Googled their name. Right? Yeah, I don't know if they actually have. Oh, look. They have a website. And they have an About Us on their website. This is their publicly available website. And I accept the cookies. There you go. Accuracy, discovery, application. Working together, unique group. Join us. Oh my goodness, only $150 a year, which gives you access to FE Core on Discord, and a list of live coverage of projects, pre-publication access, and 50% discount on FE Core events. Wow, that's awesome. I don't know why any of that would actually matter to, I guess, if you're going to go to lots of events. But wow. I wonder if you could get live access to if you can get live access to their ability to not post the actual details of their Force the Line experiment, or maybe details to their Lake Ballatin laser test, where they actually showed that curvature was happening in the laser. So yeah, they published that, and they missed it. They didn't understand it. I'm sure they would have done what, you know, they wouldn't have published their details if they knew that they did that. So I'm waiting still for somebody that really thinks that FE Core did a great laser test there. To talk to me about it. But anyway, Gleam and Marty Moose are going at it here in chat. Tommy from Birmingham, and they slewed him for gravity. Then moon affects plant growth, and they said, show me a site. I pulled up 2 unis, one NASA, one gardening website, confirming tests to prove the moon helps plants grow, and they accepted it. I apologize. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so FE Core. What? Let's see. I wonder, did their is their board of directors no longer listed there? There are a bunch of 24/7. I know. Yeah. You're right. Cosmosant 6. Who tout FE Core laser test, FE Jedi, Indio, and other special folk. Yeah, Indio, I challenged him to a debate. He never responded. I asked FE Jedi. He said, nah. I did debate the whole group of them on their Discord server. It was a dog pile, and the topic constantly changed. So, anyway, laser. So anyway, yeah, I would debate them. Yeah, all they do is dogpile, and I would debate one of them but not all. That was silly. So let's see. Here is their measuring curvature. That's right. That's what they did. Pretty nice of them. They spent a whole lot of money and time measuring curvature. There it is. It's their promo video on their website. My audio is very noisy today. Chris Berry, what's that scrolling on the bottom on the bottom of my screen, Chris? It's just I don't know. Audio sounds fine. All right. They measured the curve and then lied about the results. That's right. So the one thing I found very funny was when I debated them, I hadn't looked at the whole group. I debated the whole group from 24/7, and I had not looked at the FE core laser test yet. I have since then, but at the time they made this claim that they confirmed there was no refraction because they had two oh, sorry, Chris Berry, I'll get to that in a second. They claimed that they had used two different colored lasers in their test, and that's how they confirmed there was no curvature. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. That you could maybe make a point for that. So I looked at their test, and they didn't actually do it. Their methodology is pretty bad. Rather than having two lasers shining from the same spot, aimed at the exact same spot, over across to the other side of a distance, they're hitting the same target right next to each other, and then measuring was one shifted up or down from the other. They didn't do that. Instead, they sent one way, and they saw it with a camera over here, so they didn't know how big the cone was. Then they shot another one this way without any quit talking about copyright strike. Go ahead, whatever. They sent one this way, and they didn't level the other one at all. They just handheld laser and then a camera on the other side and measured. Yep, it's somewhere inside the cone. There's no. They didn't measure anything. They just said, yeah, we saw the light. They don't know how much it refracted. They didn't know where the top and the bottom of the light was. It was silly. So anyway, do I have a ventilator running? I have a fan running. Did that help? I don't need the fan anymore. So, all right, Chris Berry. Yeah, it's a quote from a TV show that a couple weeks ago. Let me what is my I like have notes for there it is. I have notes for my live stream that I always forget to pull up. It was and I deleted it. Who was it? Anyway, somebody identified the same guy who identified a couple weeks ago the log video song from Ren and Stimpy. Identified the Happy Fun Ball. You can see it's coming across the bottom of the screen now from Saturday Night Live. Yes, all right, so you see the FE Core logo. Anyway, there you go. Happy Fun Ball is what's streaming across the bottom there. So Project Server. Let's look. I just shut off my biggest fan. Yeah. Sad. Projects. Test results. There you go. So force the level results. Let's look at the results from force the level. Oh. It's just the pre-test results. It must be recent, right? I'm sure they have recent information. Well, long distance microwave test. No, I'm looking for the force the line. What? Where's the force the level? Force the level pretest results. Let me click on that. And it's not there. Where did it go? Let's go back to force the level. There. Oh, well, there we go. So they actually give a little bit of detail in there about what they think they're going to do. Now, not being a surveyor myself, I didn't have, when I read through it the first time, didn't have a whole lot of background to know what they were doing. I read all this. This is what they say they're going to do. And then they did it in September 2018. They did it a year ago. And they were going to publish their stuff in May or something. They didn't publish it in May. They published a pretest results. And they did a video where they didn't really put in much, they didn't do much detail. And they said results are coming soon. So I did find, though, a commentary on it by the main surveyor. If you guys know him, he is a surveyor. That's what he does. He uses a theodolite every day for his job. So he knows it pretty well. So if you aren't subscribed to him yet, then you should. So here we go. There is his channel, and I will put it up here. So he did a he's been doing a lot of stuff on FE Core. So here is his video. I won't play it. Instead, I'll give you the link to it, where he went over what he thought about their force the level thing. Now, being a surveyor, he is properly educated on how to do that. What happened to MultiT0mt0m? Everybody pops in, asks the same thing. Nobody knows. He's gone missing. And Tommy Grunwald says he's subbed to the main surveyor. Just a main surveyor. I'm actually in a Facebook group with him and Jesse Kozlowski and some other surveyors. Not that I can follow some of their stuff very well, but it's cool information in there. So let's see. You know what? I found this one. Maybe he fell off the edge of the earth. He might have. Let's see. Remember a couple weeks ago when FE Core's results must have proved the globe if they're keeping the results to themselves. I think that's it. They probably found some things that contradicted, and for once they held back. You know, they didn't say anything like Bob Nodell when he said 15 degrees an hour. And when Jaron found some curve, and when Ranty Flat Earth got video of boats going over the horizon with no I loved it. There's no refraction because you can see the little individual pieces of waves on the edge of the horizon. So yeah. Guys, if this gets out, it'll be bad. What I've just said is confidential. Oh, Bob. Oh, yes. And you were taken aback by the results that you measured rotation. And have you had any success in not measuring rotation using an instrument designed to measure rotation, Bob? Bob? Nothing? They're going to publish the results, they say. So, anyway, for FE Core Force the Level, they've not published their results. They did say, I saw this the other day, they claimed that Ares failure was a success. So if they did do the same experiment and have the same results, it means there's no ether. And if they do misinterpret it to say that there is ether, then they have to conclude that the ether does not move in relation to the surface of the Earth. Therefore, all their stuff about the ring laser gyroscopes measuring the movement of the ether, it doesn't work. You can't have it's stationary in reference to the surface of the Earth, and it's moving in reference to the surface of the Earth. It's one or the other. Take your pick. It doesn't matter. Either way, Earth's a sphere. Ether. Kenneth Schultz misspelled ether, or aether, disproved in 1886. Yep. So I didn't read what they said about it. It's actually a little involved, it looks like. So I don't know if this is actually results. Oh, it's the proposed measurement device. I see. So it's a success update on their proposed device, I think. Aether Eater. Yeah, so really they've not published anything except for the Lake Balaton measuring curve because of refraction test. So far, it's 0 for flat Earth and 1 for sphere. Thank you, FE Core. So yeah, Gleam, sorry, I'm not gonna go into that tonight. So I was just enjoying their success on Aries failure FE Core success update when it's just doesn't look like it's anything. So all right, so I had another. Oh yes, here it is. I saw this today. This it's a globe. So remember a couple weeks ago when Flat Out Hero talked about the earliest map was a flat Earth map, and he had just read like just one sentence off of Wikipedia, and that was the entire basis of his argument. So this is a globe. Dates to 1285 to 1286 in Iran. They call it a celestial sphere, I think is what they call it. They say this is the 6th oldest in the world. So even Wiki says oldest surviving globe was 1490s. Yes, so I like Wikipedia, and if there's something wrong, you can edit it, and if there's and if you have a source for it, it'll stay, because every page has a curator or multiple curators. So if you put something up there, somebody's going to look at it. I know, because I tried to put something up and it was rejected. It was my friend's fake music page. It wasn't real. They said he's not a real musician, he doesn't have any published albums. So they took it down. So good for them. So anyway, this was cool. It was it has the, I don't know, I haven't looked at it too detailed, but it's a pretty cool little brass sphere. So there you go. A sphere. So now, do you want if you know that guy, I don't know if it's worth going into it. He's uploaded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 videos on me. 14 videos that guy has uploaded on me. I disproved his idea once. And he's constantly in my chats, in the messages on my YouTube channel, going crazy. Now I got tired of approving all of his comments because YouTube was flagging them all as spam. So I put him in my approved poster so he can post whatever he wants. Yeah. Thomas Herzog says he loves me. Yes, he apparently does. And I've told him before, dude, I'm sure you can find that kind of attention at some nightclub in Florida there where you live. So sounds like he has a crush. I'm flattered. That guy. He just keeps going. He did today. Oh, he did today. I can't even watch him. They're the same thing. And the anger, I'm like, dude, he's gonna pop a blood vessel. Calm down. So I don't know. That there's really it's so funny. He's like, he's like, what's the opposite of magnetic south? I'm like, it's magnetic north. What was his excuse so Christ Puncher, what was his excuse for my last magnet video? It's been the same. It's been a week and a half since I put my video out. I did one last week during the live stream, and I showed how in the southern hemisphere the needle points north and south. I don't know how he can I don't know how he really can argue that because on a globe, south points south and north points north, right? So if you're here in South America, right there in South America, let me get it. Which way is north? It's that way? No. That way. That's north. And a compass, north end of the needle points north. And that way is south. So the south end of the needle points south. So so he said silly things like there's iron filings in the tip of a compass. It's not a compass needle is not a magnet. It's just magnetized, which actually means it's a magnet. A magnetized thing is a magnet. GPS just bought fecorpse.org. Oh, yes, that's good. That's good. I can help you host that if you need. Send me an email. We can get that. We can make that happen. Yeah. All right. Good night, Gleam. So anyway, all right. 14 videos on me. I might have missed some of the earlier ones, but I've downloaded them all and they're just sitting there. So yeah, a Gleam. I agree with you on that one. The direction thing is a bit weird. I don't get why north would not be north in the globe to a flat earther. I think what happened actually is he did not think that a compass would work on a sphere. I think he really thought that. I don't know what he thought would happen, but he thought that it could not happen. So when I did it, he had some, his brain couldn't process it. So he just started going to something else, and I read about this that some people have, like, if they lose a limb, they will, it's not phantom limb. They'll have, yeah, Chris, hold on. They have they go into a denial mode, and the doctors and other people will talk to them and say, look, your leg is gone, and so we're going to need to start doing this. I say, no, my leg is still there. And then at some point, they eventually, right, they continue to deny, and there's a term for this. I don't know what it is. I read this article a while ago on it. And eventually they accept it, right? They accept the reality and then start to deny that they even didn't accept it for a while. So Gleam. The whole point he is getting at is resolved at manufacture. He is saying it should go up in the air, which it does when you go to the pole and the middle is fixed to stop it doing so. Yeah, and he doesn't understand how the fields work, and that was very very clear. But yeah, all right. So I'm gonna get Chris Berry on. So hold on a second. I'll send you a link, Chris. Are you on Discord? Copy link. I don't remember where I've sent you the message before. Yeah, all right. I probably have your email, so hold on. I'll look it up. I do have your email. There it is. And I have my email. There it is. Link in there. Sent. So, oh, not yet. Gleam at that guy. CMC Tunes vid for a link to his channel. Oh, it didn't go. Wrong outgoing server. There it went. Sent. Let me get the Hangout thing right. There it is. Okay. Excellent, Zeptepi.
Hello.
Hello. And we have Chris Berry. How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Let's see. I'm going to get you a little fix there. So you have a statement from FE Core?
I wouldn't quite call it a statement. So I kind of had some similar questions that you had, or I'd heard these questions before about them, and so I asked on the Discord, on their Discord server. I asked one question. I asked about basically. I'll just read it to you, and then I'll read the response. I wouldn't read it unless I thought it would be okay to read. There's nothing proprietary in it or anything like that. So I said one of the criticisms of FE Core I hear is starting something like an experiment or project, but never finishing, then starting something else. We have a saying at my work of stop starting and start finishing. Again, just my opinion and not trying to be disrespectful, but I do believe this would help filter out a lot of these criticisms. And about a few minutes later, Mike Kavanaugh, who is, I don't know if he's like the head honcho over there. I think he is.
He's the president.
The president. He says, every project has a project manager and we always finish it, but it's not as easy as it sounds. We are all volunteers and we spend our time accordingly. Making a 120-page report is not done in a few weeks, especially when the individuals working on it have full-time job, which comes first. So that's basically the kind of response that that he's providing. And I mean, again, it's a fair response if they're all volunteers, right? It's a 501c3 nonprofit, as my understanding goes. And I work.
I think they've not yet finalized their 501c3, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's in the
nonprofit.
process.
Yeah.
Right, it's in the process. So I volunteer for a 501c3. And yeah, I only volunteer once a week, right? Because I have a wife and 2 kids and a full-time job, and I don't have a ton of time to do that. So again, it is one of those things. Now, you and your audience or whoever might not think that that's a good response or a valid argument, but that's just what they said. So I'm just reading, kind of providing that message, because I've heard those criticisms before, and then I saw you streaming. Actually, Jose Gonzalez asked me to join you. He said that MultiT0mt0m wasn't able to join, so I clicked on it, and then right away you were talking about FE Core, and I thought, well, it's sort of apropos, since I literally just a couple days ago sent him that, them that message, and he responded. So.
Yeah, well, I that's fair. It takes time to do things. On the other hand, I wonder if it's fair, I think, to wonder if they found something that did not prove what they want to prove. Are they holding it?
So again, my understanding. So by the way, you were showing the page with like the cost. Okay. So I went ahead and purchased the $25 per year package, right? So what is that? $2 a month, $2.25 a month or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. Because honestly, I wanted access to the Discord and some of those things. You get some updates quicker and like that. I mean, anybody can join as far as I'm aware. And if you're a 501c3, I don't think they can, prevent you just because you're a baller or they don't like you or something, right? That's my understanding too. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way.
Yep. Nonprofits cannot have stringent membership requirements.
Right. So my understanding they have a force the level section in the Discord, and based on what I've seen, they're claiming this is, call it preliminary data, call it non-finalized data or whatever. They're claiming that it showed no curvature.
Yeah, and the problem is they have they're trying to. I listened to the entire review of the Force the Level documentation by the main surveyor, and he said, well, we already have all the things that they're saying that they want to do. We already have methods to do that, well documented and standardized methods to do the things that they say they're doing, and they're making up new stuff. So now I can't speak too authoritatively on that. So I find it interesting. Are they making up a new method because they think that it's going to give their desired output?
It's possible that they came up with a new method, but I don't think I wouldn't claim that they did it because they thought it would give the required or the desired output. I think they came up with it because they wanted a definitive way, one way or the other. So that's my opinion on, like you said, you've been looking and watching. I've just been watching and hearing things too. Yeah. And they've drawn diagram. There's diagrams you can find. There's videos on it, etc. And I'm not well enough versed in that field or that research to say one way or the other, the force the level. Honestly, I really don't even understand how it works even now after watching it and reviewing it. Like, it's still confusing the hell out of me as to what they're actually measuring. Is it a dip? Is it an angle? Is it what? I don't get that, but they claim to, and everyone involved claims to sort of get it or understand it. See, so I just clicked. I got a newsletter that I hadn't clicked on until now. I just actually saw it in my email because when I opened it to click on your link, and it says long distance microwave test update September 2019. So they're already on to their next test, and I'm like, that's the criticism, and I actually agree with that criticism. I'm like, finish your one test. Get all the analysis and data and put it all in your paper, whatever they're going to present for their results, and then move on to the next thing, right? And I have that same criticism. That's why I asked the question. I didn't just ask the question because I heard some baller talk about it or whoever. I had the criticism, and I also heard other people talk about it. So that's why I asked the question about, finishing it, like stop, starting, start, finishing. That's a real saying we have at my work, because you can't, if you don't get anything done, what's the point, right? You have to complete things. So again, I accept his response, but I'm like, they're already on. So now what are they going to do? The same thing with this microwave laser test or microwave test, right? They'll do it. They say they did it, and then 6 months later, you still don't have the results, and I don't get that.
Yep. Well, the bigger concern for FE Core has been their privacy and copyright strikes against YouTube channels. And so Sean Hufford, Slice Barcane, not Sean Hufford,
right,
was the first one to get 6 or 7 privacy strikes against his channel on a particular video that was showing information from their public-facing website.
You can get more than one strike on the same video?
Well, there was one strike for each board member. There's 7 board members, and I'll show it right now. There is on their website, fecore.org/about-us. And there it is, the 7 people that are on the board. This is their public-facing website. And they have a privacy and cookie policy. I have accepted their cookie policy. So there it is. And so if they are consistent, then this video will get 7 privacy strikes against it, because I'm putting up a picture of each of them from their publicly facing website.
So that was the only thing that Sly Sparkane did, is he showed their website, and that's what
he did a whole video on some of their, just criticizing some of their stuff. And so Mike Kavanaugh, in an email to him, apparently said that he was going to instruct his board to do privacy strikes against him. So he did, and instructed. So we can only conjecture, but there are 7 people on the board, and he got 7 individual privacy strikes. Oh, I'm not presenting it. Hold on. There we go. There's the board. So you go. You got Mike Kavanaugh, president; Steve Torrance, the treasurer; Karen B. Endicott, the secretary; Rick Hummer, the board member; Bob Nodell, board member; Sandor Sizikli. Sorry, buddy, I got it wrong, I'm sure. And Jaron. We all know Jaron. He's the one that filmed the ISS transiting the moon.
So I think one of the most frustrating things for someone like me, well, probably for everyone, but speaking for myself in my position, it is frustrating, because I think they're actually doing some really cool stuff. Like, I don't know where they're getting, who has all this money for $15,000 ring laser gyros, and all this money for the long distance microwave tests they're doing, if they're renting it or buying it. Like, someone's got some cash on this board or in this group, right? And they're able to play with these toys. Like, they built, you've probably seen it if you've been on their website recently, that custom built mechanical gyro. Like, that is, and they can get up to about 10,000 RPM, 12,000 RPM. And that is really cool. But again, like, they kind of, they put a video up here about it, and then a few days later they put a video up there about it, and there's really no consistency with their methodology and their presentation. I'm like, what are you going to do with the gyro? Like, are you just going to leave it there? Like, are they ever going to do anything with it? Like, again, it goes back to that. We have all these cool toys and ideas and things we're doing, and they haven't done some tests, right, to be fair, and maybe they put out some data, but I think they're doing, what's it saying, like, they're just doing too many things at once. They're multitasking too much. Like, they have all these great ideas, in my opinion, I'll call it that. They have all these ideas, and they're wanting to do all of them either at the same time or back to back to back, and they need to take some time to complete one, put out the results and the data, so that people on the other side can analyze it, right, and can compare and contrast and do their own research based on their results. So again, that is, for me, really frustrating.
Yeah, well, and I can understand that they published the Lake Balaton laser test, and it confirms curve. So you have to really, if you're in their position, comb through everything carefully to make sure that you don't confirm curve or gravity or no ether. It has to match what you want it to match.
Sorry. You said their Lake Balaton test, the results they put out says it confirms curve?
It does, yes. And they didn't realize it when they published it, but it's there.
Is it still out there?
Yeah, they still have it.
How does it confirm curve? Because the one I've seen, and they've done so many different laser tests across the board, across different people and organizations. The one I've seen from them, at least in memory, is the one that like does that like kind of hockey stick up, like you can see it refracting upwards. But I'm not sure if that's the one that you're talking about.
Let's see here. I think I have the link to it. This one here. Let's see. I'm not presenting my screen. Hold on. I'll change this so you can see what I'm sending, and I'll send the link in the chat. That's their final results. They claim its final results FE core measurements disprove the WGS84 model by proving flat lake surface, which they did not do. They actually confirmed it's the curve. That's the thing. So I'll put it up and let's see, there it is. So what you're seeing is my OBS screen, so it's just kind of a subset. So there it is. The actual results are a PDF of a PowerPoint presentation, I think. Nope, that's not it. Man, their links don't work right. Why is that? Maybe it's downloading it. Hold on. That could be. Nope. All right. Well, I have a copy of it. I have downloaded. I'll go grab it. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm on. There's a laser experiment section of their Discord. I was just clicking through it to see if there's anything I could see about what they're saying, but this one doesn't go well. It jumps to 2018 really quickly, so there's not a lot of conversation from what I can tell.
There it is. Laser level experiment. Measuring curvature over water surface. Authors, Sandor, and somebody said his name is pronounced Sleazy. So that could be. I believe it's page 22. Yeah, so here is their claim. See that they said that they confirmed there was no refraction because they had two different colored lasers and they both hit the same time, the same height. But this picture is their evidence of it. It was taken from opposite sides of the lake, and they didn't confirm how much above or below the camera. They just took a picture, and so the camera was somewhere inside the cone that the laser was putting out. They didn't measure the height, and they did it from opposite sides, so they don't know for sure that they're at the same level. At one side, they had their SALID thing, their super accurate laser aiming device, and on the other side, they were holding it by hand. So no precision in their measurement there. And then when they measured the refraction, they measured the temperature at one side and the temperature at the other, which isn't what would tell us anything about refraction. The refraction is the top to bottom, the vertical layering of the temperature and the humidity. So the lake temperature was 0, and the air at night was down a minimum of negative 11 Celsius. And the air temperature time measurement was negative 6 Celsius. They actually have some nice pictures of the devices measuring. I'm going a little fast here, so sorry.
How many pages is this?
This is it's not 120.
Yeah, I was just curious. See, so this look. I haven't seen this, but this looks good, right? This is what I want to see for all of their.
This is their only, to my knowledge, their only published final version. So here's an example here where the laser was hitting from one side was hitting a measured tape on the other side, right? But they didn't use the other color laser right next to this one and measure and send it along the same path to see if it experienced the same refraction, because light refracts, different colors of light refract differently. So we're almost there. I think it's at the beginning of target position. Yeah, here's measurement 5. There it is. This right here is the smoking gun. At water level, 11.4 degrees Celsius and 89% humidity. At 2 meters above, 13.3 Celsius, 77% humidity. You do the math on those two, and they use the Elden calculator for refraction, and that's the most popular one right now. But all of them have the same thing. This has a vertical layer of an index of refraction gradient that will cause light to bend down. So this right here, this page is evidence for curvature.
So wait, explain it to me again. How is it proof? I'm not following.
So this is the temperature at water level and the humidity, and the temperature and humidity at 2 meters above water level.
Okay.
And they didn't get higher than 2 meters. That would be nice to get one more. And they wanted to get they wanted it to be frozen so that they could get measurements at multi-spots along the lake, but
Right.
It wasn't frozen enough. Geist was saying they leveled the laser and it kept hitting the water, so they moved the laser off level to stop it hitting the water. I missed that part. But anyway, so sorry, I got distracted. So to do it right, you really want a lot of measurements. It's hard to do that, but with a frozen lake, it's easier to do. Of course, with the frozen lake, it will make the refraction, the index of refraction gradient even more pronounced, causing it to curve more aggressively. So you can calculate the index of refraction for both of these points here, and this will confirm that at water level, the index of refraction is higher than at 2 meters above water level. So there's the gradient, and that will cause light to bend down. And it's right.
Okay.
It's documented in their paper here. So this is page. It's not saying on there. Anyway, then so measurement 5 was the first one where they have those two pieces of information. 6 here, we're getting up to. Yep, same thing here. And I actually, let me pull them up because I did the math. There it is. Measurement 6, index of refraction, there it is. 2 meters above sea level, 11.6 degrees, 85% relative humidity, index of refraction, 1.000283658. At sea level, 9.6 degrees, 94% relative humidity, index of refraction, 1.000285683. It's a higher index of refraction at sea level. That will cause light to curve down. Measurement 7, same thing. So measurement 5, 6, and 7, they documented the temperature and humidity at sea level and at 6 meters above. Or sorry, 2 meters above.
Okay, so you think that slipped by them, or you don't think that they either realized that or they figured that out, like when they were putting in the numbers?
I think that because elsewhere in here they calculated refraction, but they did it, right here it is, refraction calculation of fifth measurement. So what they did instead is they took the temperature at the one end of the lake and the temperature at the other end of the lake, instead of looking at the layered index of refraction gradient there.
But if the laser is going through one small section or layer, right, why would you need to know the top to bottom gradient or temperature variation?
If there is a top to bottom gradient, it will curve towards it will curve towards the higher index of refraction. So it will curve, in this case, down. That's Snell's law. And if Snell's law didn't work, then these glasses wouldn't work. Neither would the lens on this camera. Neither would your eyeballs. Neither would anything that we use every day. So people understand Snell's law well, understand index of refraction well. So a gradient like that will cause it to bend down. So what they did is instead they measured the temperature at one end of the lake, which is N1 here on this example, and the temperature at the other end of the lake, N2. And they used the modified Edlen equation. Sorry, I pronounced it incorrectly before. To calculate from one end to the other end, which isn't how it works. The light's going this way, and so you need to look at this stacking. And so since it's lower down here, light will bend towards the lower, the higher index of refraction is down low, so it'll bend towards the higher index of refraction. So that's what they did. They used that's how it slipped by. They didn't understand refraction well enough. So we concluded the ambient conditions refracted the laser beam downward by a maximum of 0.0117 millimeters, which was just calculated wrong.
So what would it have been if you used the variation from top to bottom?
I don't know. I did not calculate that. Neither did they.
So
the problem, of course, is we don't know. They only measured the temperature at one side and the other side.
But I thought you had it from what was it, 2 meters and 6 meters or whatever it was, from sea level to 6 feet or something. There it is. Like you could water level. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah, if we accepted that gradient was the same all the way across the water, then we could calculate how much it would curve. Yes.
Right. So you have a 3.5 degree variation between that distance, and I'm just assuming that they did it within the 6.5 foot sea level to 6.5 foot. So
yeah, so
you could see what it would be.
Yeah, and those calculations are a little more difficult. They did a single application of Snell's law one time, but since which is like there's one medium here where the laser starts and one medium here where the laser ends, and it just goes between them one time. That's not how it actually happened, right? Like my glasses, medium outside the glass, medium inside the glass, medium outside the glass. That's 2 transitions. That's not what happened. There's many transitions when you're going through a index of refraction gradient that's stacked vertically like that. So that's how it slipped through. They didn't understand refraction.
Right. Are you religious?
Yep.
You believe in God then?
Yeah.
Do you believe in what kind? Do you believe in like evolution and Big Bang and those kind of things?
Sure.
So how do you reconcile those things with what the Bible teaches?
I think that the Bible is not a science book and that people have opinions about what it says.
Okay. But it doesn't. Okay, but it doesn't say that the universe exploded right from nothing or whatever this quote unquote science is on that matter.
It doesn't really say much about it.
Well, it says God created.
Yeah,
the
it says,
heavens and earth.
So it's assigning. It's assigning who. It's not assigning how.
Well, it is a how.
That's your opinion.
Well, it says the how is it would say it says God created. It's about that is the how. It's a who and the how, right?
No. I disagree. That's an opinion.
Okay. So in Genesis, when it talks about how God created the earth before the sun and the moon and everything, you don't think that's the how?
No. I think
Why? I don't get that.
I think that's some poetry.
So I don't know if you know my flat earth story, but I'm 30, I'll be 36 this month. And for as long as I can remember, I was an atheist. And I mean, like, I didn't go to church. I didn't, other than, you know, a few times here and there with friends. I don't want to say I never went. That's not true. But I never once believed in God. And, you know, when I found flat Earth, then it kind of threw me off ball, right? I mean, that was no pun intended. It threw me off because I didn't, you know, being an atheist my whole life. And then you find flat Earth, and you're like, well, if it's flat, right? Let's have some assumptions here. If it's flat, and if it's motionless, and if it's the center, then that had to have been created, right? There's no possible way that could have been random chaos from a Big Bang type explosion and gravity pulling everything together just perfect and whatever. So I don't know. I just think that but then when you read the Bible, which I started, I've not gotten very far into it, but I started it at least. It says a lot of things that I came to the conclusion of flat Earth before I read the Bible, if that makes sense, right? So you know, the sun and the moon circle us, right? If you believe that, call it model. And that's what it says in the Bible, in the sense that the earth was created and then the sun and the moon were created. You know, one's the light, one's the lesser light, or whatever it says. I don't remember the specifics, but so in other words, for me, having found flat earth and then basically reading the same thing in the Bible, it was pretty mind-blowing, because I always thought, you know, the Bible was a round earth book. I've heard many of people like Kent Hovind types and everyone argue that it's a round earth book, and I always just believed that without doing my own research. So I think for me it was pretty incredible. In fact, you could probably say, well, it's not just the Bible, right? You could point to other religions and different people throughout the millennia that sort of had a similar concept of the similar cosmology concept. So I'm kind of ranting. I sort of lost a little bit of my point, but I guess for me it was just a profound.
Did you not hearing you anymore? I think maybe you got cut off or something. Muted. I didn't mute you, so I'll respond to that, I guess, a little bit. For the majority of you know, the history of the Bible, people have not thought it meant it was flat. So and it's just an opinion in the end, because there are differences. People have differences of opinion on it. So fine. If you think it's that, then it's a claim. So Chris is saying his computer crashed. So if the Bible says one thing and you think it says that, then that's a claim, and we can test that. Sometimes, right? If it's a historical event for which there is no evidence, then we cannot test it. But if you're saying the earth is flat and that's your opinion about what the Bible is saying, then we can test it, and we can find out whether or not the sun actually circles around, as is the claim. So I think it's that simple. I see you're back.
Hey, sorry, my computer crashed.
Yeah, so I basically said I think it's an opinion. And,
okay.
And my college roommate was a pre-med student, and after he switched to a different college, he eventually became a pastor, and then moved on to not being a pastor. In fact, he's a professional theologian. He publishes papers in journals and goes to conferences and presents his papers. So he's a, I don't know, accredited, and he's members of all sorts of organizations and stuff. And so I actually called him up. I hadn't talked to him in quite a few years, and asked him a little sheepishly, what do you think about the flat earth? And after a little chuckle, he's like, yeah, I've heard about that. So we talked about it for a bit. And he said, yeah, I had emailed him the stuff to Nathan Roberts' websites, and he had looked at some of the claims and said, yeah, Nathan Roberts doesn't understand what the context is. And these things that he's talking about, you need to understand the mindset of an ancient Near Eastern person. So that's about all I got out of it. It was a whole bunch of technical stuff on that topic that he knows very well, and I don't. But in the end, he said, yeah, to conclude that does not make sense. And so, again, it's just an opinion.
Right.
Since it's not clear.
It is that's his opinion that Nathan Roberts doesn't understand it, then, right?
Absolutely. I mean, so in the end, it's just an opinion. So we can, and it's a claim, so then we can test it.
Right. So yeah, I guess I've asked followers this question before, and I think it's hard for them to have to put themselves in this mindset. But I mean, let's say all of a sudden, or not even all of a sudden, let's say you came to the conclusion Earth is as we now believe it to be, and you just, for whatever reason, right? Okay, it's yeah, their arguments, they're starting to make sense to me. I believe it. Like, would that put any more stock into books like the Bible and what they say?
I don't think that any more or less stock needs to be put into the Bible, because I don't think it's a science book.
But it would have either was divinely inspired, or it predicted the cosmology that many of us now believe. You see what I'm saying? Like, is it coincidence, or was it just, there's only two options, either the Earth is round or it's flat, and they got the 50% of it right, or they got the 50% guess right.
But you see, I don't agree that it says that it's flat.
No, it doesn't say it's flat necessarily. It doesn't come out and say the Earth is flat, but there are passages that sort of hint at that. And then, but more specifically, like Genesis, it does talk about the Earth and the Moon, the Sun and the Moon having been created after the Earth, which puts more precedent and stock on the Earth, that it's the center, that the Sun and Moon go around us, that they're lights, etc. So there, and that's just a few passages that I can remember off the top of my head. I think there's dozens from what I've seen and heard that do put stock into the flat Earth cosmology. But I don't know. That's just how I'm taking it, is that if we were created, wouldn't the Creator have put some sort of evidence or proof, or it's like, I think of it like a video game, right? It's like, there's things in that video game that just don't make sense if it, without it being a video game. Or there's an instruction manual that comes with a video game, right? When you buy a game, there's a little manual that says, here are the characters, and here's how to do the special moves and those kind of things. So that's just how I'm looking at it. Maybe it's naive, but I find it fascinating.
I find it fascinating too, but I don't see, the problem is if you use it as a science book, you find weird things like pi is 3. Right? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've heard something about that.
Yeah. It says that there's a bowl in the temple that Solomon built, and the radius of the bowl was 5 cubits, and the circumference was 30. So what's pi?
3.14.
No, according to that, it's 3. Right? They could have said 31 cubits, right? And so I'm happy It's not a
Right.
science book. If it were a science book, it would say 31 cubits or
Well,
31.4
that would mean
cubits.
it's not a mathematics book.
Yeah. They
Right.
didn't distinguish between math and science back then, right? So
Yeah, and honestly, I don't have enough
and,
detail on that.
and if you're going to take it literally, then in Song of Solomon, his wife's face had 2 birds in it. She's a freak show. It says, "Your eyes are doves." Is it poetry? Right?
Yeah, I'd have to read the
Yeah.
context around that passage.
Yeah, it's not real. It's not literal. Her eyes aren't
Well,
doves.
was that passage supposed to be literal? Were they taking it as
It's poetry.
literal? Or was it?
It's poetry.
Well, that part may have been.
So
Or that-
now
I'm saying that
you
part may not have been literal.
take it literally. Have you shaved recently?
Yes.
All right, so you don't take it literally. Do you?
Well, if you're saying I don't follow all the accordance of the Bible, then no, I don't. That doesn't mean it isn't true, or parts. That doesn't mean parts of it aren't true, or some of it isn't true. Right? I mean, I'm not a Rob Skiba that says every word in the Bible is literal and it's true.
Yeah, well, Rob Skiba doesn't take it true either, right? Do not cut the hair at the sides of your beard or clip the edges of. Cut the hair at the sides of your head, or clip off the edges of your beard. So if you're gonna get literal, get literal.
Well, but then so that's all Old Testament, right?
That's where the majority of the flat Earth stuff comes from.
Right, but in terms of so let's say if you did those things, what would happen?
What do you mean?
Like if you cut your hair at the sides or clip off the edges of your beard, so what?
I don't know. I'm just saying you don't take it too literal, because if you did, you would not cut the sides of your hair or clip the edges of your beard. And neither would Rob Skiba.
Well, but again, I'm by no means a biblical expert, but so I don't know who this is intended for, or what was intended by that passage. So, what I would say to that though is that, and again, I'm not even sure I believe this part of it with Jesus and all, but the New Testament with Jesus, basically, and again, I find this to be at odds with how I believe and think things, but you can do anything you want, and as long as you are, if you believe in Christ and you, I don't even know how to describe it, you believe in Christ and you understand his teachings and things that you do are wrong, then you get to go to heaven anyway, right? So it's sort of, it's sort of, that's why I said it's sort of weird, because it's like, well, you can rape someone and then later in your life say, or kill someone and say, oh, I believe Jesus' word, I believe what I did is wrong, and you get into heaven. So in other words, my point is, if you cut sides of your head, it's not a big deal because you realized it was wrong.
Well, anyway, I think that's just a good example for people that go real serious on it. So Carrie B says Jewish fundamentalists in Israel do not cut their hair or beard. That's right. If you've seen what are either Orthodox, or people typically call them Hasidic Jews, they have the little curlies on the side of their head. That's why is this particular one. So I was actually just last week, a friend of mine from Israel, he was born and raised in Israel, and then he moved here quite a while ago, and he's lived here for a while. And I was asking him at lunch about a few things, and also about a guy I met on Facebook, Neriel, who is an Israeli living in Israel. Just talking about these things, and so I asked. He goes by Ray. That's not his name. He has a Hebrew name, and he's like, I got tired of people calling me pronouncing it wrong, so he goes by Ray. So Ray said, why do they think it's flat? It doesn't make sense. And so I asked him a couple things. I said, what does rakia mean? Rakia is the word that gets translated into the King James as firmament. He said, what do you mean? Air? The sky? That's what rakia means in modern Hebrew. Anyway, that's beside the point. You know what's happening here in 11 days, Chris?
Nope.
It is the equinox. So let's see here. Rob Skiba, as long as you're talking about it, he has his, let's see if I can find him. That's not it. He has his model, right? So do you think that the sun travels around in circles around the North Pole?
Yes.
All right. Do you know what way the sun will be rising 11 days from now? What direction?
Well, you mean what, like rise in the east and the west kind of thing?
Yeah, what more specifically than just east? What direction will it be rising from?
What direction? I don't know. I'm not big on the sky stuff.
The sun rises due east, as seen everywhere between
right.
between the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle. Everywhere.
Uh-huh.
However, let me transition this here. Here's Rob Skiba's model. And if you look, it would rise about 45 degrees northeast, not due east, according to how this model works. Right? So people look at this and like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it doesn't make sense because, as I paused it here, with the sun there somewhere over the Tropic of Capricorn, it looks like, over Africa, that's about going to be sunrise time for people in South America there. And they would see the sun rising about 45 degrees northeast, not due east. But in reality, they see it due east. So it doesn't matter what map. It doesn't even matter what map. It matters if you think the sun is running circles around the North Pole, it doesn't match observations. It actually never matches observations just for sunrise angle. That one thing.
Well, you're saying based off of this,
based off of not you don't even need to look at the map specifically, because like Antonio Subaratz has a slightly different map, but he still has the sun running circles around the North Pole.
Right, but so if it's at that, what they call on the flat Earth map, the equatorial line, if it's right on that line, then would you not get a same or similar due east effect?
No, because the due east line, when you're looking when you're in South America, due east is not straight looking towards where the sun is. And I can pull up.
Due east. See, this is where it gets confusing, because due east on a ball, you'd have to look. If I'm in Minnesota, looking due east, where the sun's rising at the equator, I'm not looking due east, right? I'm looking southeast, right?
Where the sun's rising. What are you talking about? On the ball? On the globe?
Yeah, on the globe.
The sun is 93 million miles away. So due east for everybody is the same. Now we're slightly offset, but because the sun is so much significantly, but the sun is significantly larger than the Earth, and so that slight difference, we can measure the parallax, but it's very, very small.
But I'm saying if I'm in Minnesota and you're in Australia, we're not looking in the same direction. I mean, we're looking at the same thing, but it's different directions, right?
No. At sunrise.
So
we're all right. We both have a different sunrise time if we're at different longitudes, right? But
Well,
if you take
okay,
two people
so-
at the same longitude, right, one far north, one far south. So, for example, you can get somebody in Sweden
fair
and
enough.
somebody in South Africa.
Right.
And I
Same
can-
longitude.
Yeah, I can pull this up if let's see, I gotta find, where did I put that? I have
See, that's just
many.
I'm just thinking about it. Like maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't make any sense on the ball model for me because you're not looking. If you look due east on a ball, you're going to be looking north. I'm going to be looking north of the person that's in the southern latitude, or south. Sorry, I'm going to be if I'm in the north, I'm going to be looking south at the sun, and they're going to be looking north at the sun because of the supposed angle of the curvature that the curvature is providing.
All right. I have stuff. So hold on. All right. Here is. I took the line of longitude of 20 degrees east, and I rotated the map. Again, it doesn't matter. It just you take a line of longitude. So this is 0 degrees north and 20 degrees east. Right now. Due east is going to be on this image straight to the right. Okay, so it's going to follow along above the word east.
On the flat Earth map?
Yep.
No. Eventually, well, if you keep going what you're calling east, you're eventually going to be going southeast.
No, I'm not. You're not going. You're just looking. You're looking east.
Well, east on that map is in the direction of that line of the circle.
Yep.
Towards where the sun is coming up.
Correct.
Okay. Can you pull up a globe or
Why?
because I want to see what that looks like on a globe.
What does it look like? I have a globe right here. Hold on. I'll go big here.
Yeah.
So there's a globe.
Right. So if you're on the top of the globe and someone else is on the bottom.
Yep. So the
You
sun.
look-
Let's see. Wrong way. Sun is rising that way, right? So if this line,
Uh-huh.
I'll put it right here, 20 degrees. Sun is that way. Far, far that way.
Right.
Sun is far, far that way. Sun is very far that way, right? So far, because the it's many times larger than the Earth, it's not small, it's huge. So the difference in parallax from north to south is measurable. It has been measured, but it's extremely slight. Very, very much less than 1 degree.
Right. So listen, again, I'm no expert when it comes to the sun, moon, and stars and their movements and why certain things look the way they look. But what I would say, and I think you said this earlier, is that wouldn't work on the flat Earth model, whether it's Rob Skiba's or anyone else's. And what I've come to learn is I've heard many people make that claim, and then I've seen many people go out and do their own tests or observations and disprove those claims of that couldn't work on a flat Earth. So all I would say is we don't really know what's going on up there. None of us have ever been up there.
All right, we're not going to go with the "you haven't been there, therefore you don't know." That's nonsense. Right?
No,
that's second grade
that's not
stuff.
what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying is we can't officially model it. So like, if you were to model a car, I would say, okay, fine, you can model the car because we build cars here from scratch. We know all the parts and pieces of those cars, so that's okay. That makes sense. If you were to say, well, now I'm going to go model the solar system, well, we've not been there. We don't know what the official model is and if it's even correct. And by the way, you can have two models that are different that give you the same result.
You can, absolutely. But
Right.
for one test, and maybe
No,
for
for
2
multiple
tests, and
tests.
maybe for 3 tests. But the problem is, when you get to lots and lots of tests, it doesn't work much anymore. It starts to fall apart.
Like I could tell you to take the current globe cosmology, just as it is, multiply everything by 10, make the sizes 10 times bigger, make the distances 10 times as far, and it will still work. Everything will be the exact same. You wouldn't know a difference.
It wouldn't, because gravity would not work anymore. Gravity would cause everything to be different.
Tell me that that's true.
Well, I'm not that baller.
No, it would still work. It would still work.
If you made the Earth 10 times larger, the mass would be significantly higher.
Right. Well, I'm saying the model would still work, though. You wouldn't know it if you were on that model. You wouldn't know any difference.
So, are you suggesting that is a valid model then? Because we can measure the Earth, we know how big it is.
Well, who measured it?
Geodetic surveyors.
How did they measure it?
With theodolites.
I thought theodolites. What are theodolites used for?
They're used.
They're
used for geodetic surveying. What do you mean? What are they used for?
I don't think they're tools that measure the Earth.
That is their exact purpose.
No, it says with a surveying instrument with a rotating telescope for measuring horizontal and vertical angles.
Yeah, so that they can measure the Earth.
Well, they're measuring horizontal and vertical angles. It's not, it's not measuring shape. It's not measuring anything over the supposed 3 mile from 6 feet distance.
It certainly does measure curve. One of the things that they always find, and it's a necessary part of geodetic surveying, is a spherical excess. So when on and I'll pull it up here. Wolfram, there we go. So here is a spherical triangle on the Wolfram Alpha site. So this is a site that's they write software for high-end math stuff. So here they have a triangle on a sphere, and a triangle on a sphere has a slightly different calculation than a flat triangle. And you can see here this delta equals r squared, a plus b plus c minus pi equals r squared times e. And then e is the spherical excess. So the point is, it's about these angles, right? This ABC are the angles. And when you measure angles on a triangle, on a three-dimensional surface, on a sphere, you get more than 180 degrees. And that is that difference between what you measure and what... and 180 degrees is the spherical excess. So if you see on the wall behind me, you can see some flight charts, and I use those to plot a flight, 3 flights to around the world, and the total sum of all 3 of those flights was 270 degrees. So the spherical excess is a bit more than, it was more than 180, right? It was 90 degrees more than 80. The spherical excess was 90. So those flights, using real flight charts, could not work on a flat surface. Yet those flight charts are used for real. People have used those for decades. If they were that far off, then so that this particular flight route would work, then the distances that navigators use to calculate how much fuel they need, for example, and how to, what angle they need to travel to get somewhere wouldn't work. So, hey, Bob, the science guy is here. Bob, I might be in Michigan in a couple weeks. Northern Michigan. We should talk. Bob is a pilot. It's like you say his name 3 times and he shows up. Bob's a pilot, and he knows all about these flights as well. He has a nice example on his YouTube channel of 3 flights between Anchorage, Texas, and New York. Am I right, Bob? And the spherical excess of those 3 flights using real flight charts. It doesn't matter what flight charts you use; they all come up with the same. I don't remember the exact number, but there was a spherical excess. Anchorage, LA, and New York, 205 degrees. There you go. So we got 25 too many degrees.
But so what does that mean? So you have an excess, then what? What do you do?
That means, well, if you plotted any 3 points on a flat surface, the total of the angles, the internal angles, would be 180 degrees. And as on the screen here, right there's an excess of 25 degrees, which can only happen on a 3-dimensional surface. It cannot happen on a flat surface.
Do you agree that if you were flying in a plane or any device or vehicle, that you would want to fly as low as possible, because you would be extending your flight distance the higher you go on a round surface?
You want to think about that a little more and then ask it again?
Well, no, I've heard it. I've heard the discussion be had before.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I wasn't clear.
Oh, no. I understand very well your question.
Okay.
But I think you know. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I think you know a little better math than that. You still there?
Yeah. I'm
okay.
listening.
All right. Well, so the radius of the Earth, 4,000 miles about. Height of an airplane, how much?
35,000 feet.
Okay. How many miles is that?
6 miles.
6 miles. Okay. So what's the difference? The comparison between 6 miles and 4,000 miles. What percentage? Is that? Is that a lot or a little?
It's a little.
Okay. So you're right. It does make the flight longer. But the difference longer, did you do the math on that? Right?
No.
I haven't recently. I have done the math. The difference is extremely slight. Now in engineering, are you what do you do for your career? I mean, you don't give anything more specific than you want, but
I'm not in any type of an engineering field.
Okay.
That's what you're getting at.
Do you is it technical? I mean, you said, stop your project management type stuff. Sounds like you're doing projects and stuff, so it's not, I don't know. Anyway, there's trade-offs in engineering. So when it's Bob the science guy says it's negligible. When you're engineering, there's all sorts of things you might do that would make something more expensive so that something else could be less expensive. Not just in dollars, but in resources and in effort and in time and all of that. So going to a higher altitude, there's less air resistance. There's different altitudes that have different amounts of turbulence that you might want to avoid. All of these different things are trade-offs. So when you're lower to the ground, if you're going to be really low to the ground, well, now you got to avoid things. Now people hear you because you're low to the ground, right? So there's reasons definitely to be higher, and it's negligible to be lower just to have a shorter distance, right? So
yeah. That's fair enough.
That's why I think it's a pretty silly question, and I think if you think about it,
Don't assume it's a silly question. I mean, just assume that I'm asking legitimately or seeing what you think about that type of an argument.
Yeah.
So my boss, and this is hearsay because I don't have it on recording, but I'm pretty sure there's recordings that other people have done on YouTube and stuff. But my boss is a pilot, and I asked him point blank if he takes curvature or Coriolis into account. And he said no, he doesn't at all. And he doesn't have,
and of course
fancy
you would not.
electronics in his plane.
Yeah, you would not.
Well, you would if you're doing a flight path, right? So why isn't he worried about this angular excess and all these things you have to take into account apparently when you're flying, when he just says he does his heading and he flies to right where he's trying to go. I mean, he's flown.
So you don't need to take Coriolis into effect, because the force of Coriolis is minimal compared to the other forces that you have to deal with, like turbulence, wind, things like that, are a bigger, more powerful factor than Coriolis. So does he take wind into account? Does he plan out ahead of time the wind that he's going to be hitting 10 minutes from now and 20 minutes from now? Of course, you don't know it. You might know that there's a general wind going one direction, but you don't need to ahead of time. I'm Bob, the science guy. I'm a pilot. And here, Bob, would you like to join us? That would be...
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bob, so I might drop out.
You're not a fan of Bob? Oh. All right, well, Bob, sorry. So, well, I'll answer from the small amount of information I know.
You're saying that the spin is affecting the plane, just again, like so many things in the Ball-Earth model, just not enough to really notice it.
It's not significant enough to make a big deal. Yeah. So
okay.
The amount of force, and I've seen the calculations, the amount of force due to Coriolis is a lot less than the amount of force that you get from wind regularly. So, and what was the other one you were saying? So you don't when you plan a flight route, you use great circle routes, which is already taking into account that it's curved. So you do in fact take curvature into account. What was that?
Do you listen to either Nathan Oakley or, I guess they've been talking about Coriolis a lot on Jose's too. Have you heard any of the recent Coriolis discussions?
I've heard a few. I don't need to listen to Nathan Oakley. He just is rude and disgusting.
So why doesn't... So let me get your answer, because again, depending on who you ask, you'll get a different response, or you'll get multiple answers to cover the bases. But if you're in a helicopter, it's just hovering, or a drone, if you want to, depending on what you look at, if you're just hovering in a drone above the Earth, and you just push the up stick and it just goes up and it's not moving left or right or whatever, or forward and back, why doesn't the Earth spin under the helicopter or the drone?
Because of frames of reference. The air is moving with the Earth.
Okay, so the air and the Earth are the same frame of reference?
Generally, yes.
Well, we'll see. What does generally mean? Is it either is or it isn't, right?
It's not perfect. The air moves. Right? It's not locked to the Earth, but there's a friction between the air and the ground. So if the ground is moving, the air is going to be moving with it, generally, but not perfectly. What's that?
What's the cause of that?
Friction.
Due to what?
Friction. Friction due to friction.
So why does the air at, say, 10,000 feet care what the ground is doing?
Because the air at 9,000 feet cares about what's at 8,000 feet, cares about what's at 7,000 feet, right? It's a conservation of momentum, right? And they're all together. Now they don't do that. There are definitely trade winds and jet streams and things like that at different altitudes that have an impact. So when you're flying one direction, I'm in Minnesota. I flew to London. Going one way took less time than the other way because they could take advantage of the jet streams. About an hour difference.
Mm-hmm. See, so the answer to the hovering helicopter or drone is that the atmosphere moves with the Earth, but that's not the same answer that is given when you talk about an airplane or a bullet.
What do you mean that's
or a ball kicked into a field goal? The answer to a bullet, an airplane, and a field goal kick aren't that the atmosphere is spinning with the Earth, so therefore there would be no Coriolis. So there's no Coriolis experience in the floating hovering helicopter because the atmosphere, according to you, is spinning with the Earth.
Coriolis happens
pushing the chopper along.
Yeah, Coriolis happens when you change latitudes. So the helicopter is not changing latitude, at least not significantly, right? The hovering is very slight in movement. So Coriolis isn't something affecting the helicopter because it's not changing latitudes.
Wait, why does changing the latitudes affect Coriolis?
That's how Coriolis works. It's because the Earth rotates at different lateral speeds at different latitudes. So if you move from one latitude to another, the lateral speed changes from, the popular 1,000 miles an hour at the equator down to 840 at in Minnesota here, or something like that.
Oh, it's probably even less than that. But yeah, I get your point. But what does that have to do with?
So it's that the lateral speed changes when you go from one latitude to another. So there is a slight frame of reference adjustment. Like that's why I said it's not perfect.
Who's
a perfect frame of reference? So if it's like that gradient.
Okay, so now there's Coriolis gradients. Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's a speed that goes at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator down to 0 at the pole. Right. So you can call it a gradient. It varies with the cosine of the latitude.
Okay.
Right.
But so what do you need to do to worry about that?
So when you move to different latitudes, the lateral speed changes of the surface of the Earth, and so everything in relation to the surface of the Earth is going to experience a slight difference too. So in Minnesota, it's not 840. It's around 700, slightly over 700.
Right.
Miles per hour. So if you're in a plane traveling from the equator to Minnesota at 45 degrees, you're losing about 300 degrees in lateral speed, and so you need to adjust for that over the course of how many miles? 3,105 miles. So that's how it's not very powerful. You need to change only 300 miles an hour over the course of 3,000 miles.
What do you mean you only need to change 300 miles per hour?
So your lateral speed, if you're going straight north from the equator,
okay,
your lateral speed is about 1,000 miles an hour, right? In Minnesota, the lateral speed is about 700 miles an hour. So there's a 300 mile an hour difference.
Right. So how is that either gained or lost? I don't get it.
So, well, the airplane has to make up for it while it's traveling that distance, and that distance is 3,105 miles. So that's for every mile that the plane travels, it has to reduce its lateral speed by 1/10 of a mile an hour. Is that a lot of difference? It's not, because you can have a crosswind of 10 or 20 or 30 miles an hour, and the plane can maintain a straight trajectory in that crosswind. So the Coriolis over that distance is accounts to this is I'm doing the math linearly, which isn't accurate, but it doesn't matter. It's just it's close enough for these kinds of calculations, because it's definitely not more than much more than this. So about a 1/10 of a mile an hour lateral speed difference per mile that it's traveling. That's all it has to do. So if it has if it has a 5 degree crosswind, or 5 mile an hour crosswind, that's 10 times more correction about than the Coriolis.
But so how does a plane that's going, 500 miles an hour, gain or lose 300 miles per hour and not notice? I don't get that. Because
it's the same as a crosswind of 1/2 of a mile an not that. I'm sorry, I didn't do the math right on that. But it's the effect of the force is effectively the same as a slight crosswind.
Well, but a slight crosswind that's either increasing or decreasing in speed for 3,000 miles.
Yeah. And
Wouldn't that be a fairly extreme change?
No, it's a very minor change. Crosswinds constantly change. Constantly.
Well, no, but it's like from a few miles per hour to a few dozen miles per hour, right? Or a dozen miles per hour. It's not from 5 miles per hour to 150 mile per hour crosswind change, right? So that you would notice.
No,
over 3,000 miles.
It's a slight, consistent crosswind the entire way.
What does consistent mean?
It means that it's like that there's a constant crosswind the whole time. And so when you travel 1 mile from the equator to 1 mile south of the equator, or north of the equator, you have a slight amount of lateral speed difference that you need to change. And once you've made that change, you don't have to make that change again. Now you're going at the speed relative to the ground at 1 mile north of the equator.
So you just so what causes you to gain that mile per hour?
Well, you have to lose it, right? But slightly turning. Just like a crosswind. You use the rudder to turn into the crosswind.
You're not saying the plane is actually speeding up or slowing down.
It's laterally changing its speed. But its airspeed isn't changing.
What do you mean laterally? How is it? It's going. If it's going north, how is it laterally, which is left to right, changing its speed? I don't get that.
So, at the equator, it's moving laterally at 1,000 miles an hour when it's sitting still on the Earth, right?
Okay.
When it's in Minneapolis, it's moving laterally 700 miles an hour when it's sitting on the surface of the Earth.
Right.
Right. So when you start in the equator and move towards Minnesota, you have to shed that 300 mile an hour speed.
Right. How does that happen?
By slightly changing your heading in response to that. So you're always looking at your heading, right? And an autopilot even does this more. But if you're just looking at your heading and you say, well, I want to go at this many degrees, right? So if you're going to go due north, your heading is 0 degrees. Right? And so you just go 0 degrees the whole time. And then there's some wind that pushes you one way or another. And then you just adjust back to 0 degrees. Now what happens is after a while, you get pushed back and forth because of the wind. After a while, you're slightly off course, right? So you need to adjust that. So you might after a while need to reassess where your heading needs to be in order to get to your destination.
Right.
And it's not this simple. I'm simplifying a lot of things, right? Because typically what you do is you have waypoints that you go to that are three-dimensional points in space above the Earth that are part of your flight plan that you register ahead of time and you do these things. And so you're always verifying using GPS. Where am I? Oh, I'm a little bit off. I'm so many miles east or west of my desired waypoint. So I'm going to adjust my heading so I get to my destination. My next waypoint. I'm going to correct my heading so that I get to the next waypoint correctly. And like I said, the wind is more has more effect than the Coriolis.
Well, of course, especially since I don't believe that the Earth is spinning. I agree with that. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I hope it doesn't seem like I'm being facetious in all these like follow-up questions, but I don't get it. I don't get how a plane traveling 1,000 miles per hour slows down to 700 miles per hour, and just because it's flying north, that would be such an extreme change that you would notice it, and we just don't.
I already made it clear. It's a very slight change because it's spread out over 3,000 miles.
Yeah, but how are you slowing down 300 miles when you're only going 500 miles to begin with?
It's a lateral speed change, and you
But
spread
what
it
does
out.
that mean, lateral speed change? Like what do
It's
you
left to
notice?
right.
Or what is yeah, but moving left or right doesn't change your speed, right? How does moving left or right in the air change the speed you had on the ground? I don't get that.
So if you didn't correct for that, right, and you wound up in Minneapolis and you were somehow able to do it without paying attention to the airspeed, because that'll affect it, because the air is moving with the earth, you'd wind up when you got over Minneapolis, you'd be moving, you'd get there and the earth would be moving 700 miles an hour over it, and you'd be going laterally 1,000 miles an hour, right? So if you did it when you got there, then you'd be like, oh crap, we gotta turn hard left and hit the brakes, right? What happens is you just constantly adjust your head.
Never happens. That never happens.
Of course it never happens.
You're never
That's
300
the point.
miles too slow or too fast above the earth.
Exactly. That's the point.
So with all the pre-technological flights, all the transatlantic flights, international flights, and things before they had, autopilots and fancy stuff, that no one was ever like, oh my God, the ground is moving 300 miles per hour faster than it was, 4 hours ago. Like
because, and if you look at the flight maps, the huge number of them are east-west flights, where they have trivial amount of Coriolis because their latitudes aren't changing quite as much around.
Well, but then we're getting into don't call it Coriolis, because Coriolis is north and south, fine. But then you're getting into a different oddity of east-west direction that has absolutely no difference in what a plane or a helicopter does.
What, you know what that's called?
The 8-Voss effect.
I don't know how to pronounce it myself. I don't know if anybody.
It's either 8-Voss, 8-Voss, or Erd-Voss. I don't know either.
I've heard it, Utvoosh.
I think it's.
But yeah, I'm not an expert in not American. The University of Washington has a department they named after it. So
yeah.
So here is, you can see right there in the name. Let's go Etvos. I don't know.
Etvos. Okay.
This is Wolfie 6020 video, and then this guy here, FlowPlus, took the two parts of Wolfie's video and synchronized them, and took the different weights, or the different measured values here. So this is a 500 gram weight, it's a 500 gram mass on a scale that's accurate to hundredths of a degree. And we can see here, there's no sound on, so this is the same scale measuring the same mass. One of them is right around 500 grams. The other is right around 495 grams. And of course, these are gram weight, not gram mass that it's measuring.
Wait, what? Sorry, they're in an airplane?
Yeah. So one airplane is headed east and one is headed west.
Okay. Why are the numbers constantly moving? It's not stayed still for half a second.
It's on an airplane, so it's constantly moving around.
Okay. So
if you're on the ground, these are much more stable. But when you're in an airplane, there's constant movement, right? And you can feel that when you're on a plane, So that's why it's varying like that.
But so what's the explanation as to why there's a slight difference?
Because one way is going 500 miles an hour with the spin of the Earth, and the other way is going 500 miles an hour against the spin of the Earth. So one is adding 500 miles an hour to the speed, one is removing 500 miles an hour to the lateral speed, or about. They're not straight east-west flights. He didn't get to pick the flight, but because he's a pilot, he gets to ride on flights all the time like that. So
but what's the I don't get, what does the difference in direction and spin have to do with the weight? Why is the weight changing due to the different spin?
Because of centrifugal force. So centrifugal force. So if you're moving, so this is Australia. So let's just guess that they're maybe at 45 degrees south. I guess we could do better than that. One is so they're going along. I think is that Sydney there on the south side. Bob says 35 degrees. So at 35 degrees, let's do this. This is a bit rough math, but 35 cosine. So about 800 miles an hour is the lateral speed, roughly. So when you get in a plane and you go about 500 miles an hour, your one direction, your net speed is about 300, and the other direction, you're about 1300.
That seems like a huge difference to only have let's call it a 4 gram weight difference.
Well, you want to do the math?
Or whatever that is. So a 1,000 mile per hour change in lateral speed is only not even 4 gram, a 0.32 gram difference.
Yeah. It's closer to 5. I think he did some. No, he didn't do any line fitting. So, oh no, here he has 4.99 or 499.62 and 495.23. So he did do the averages.
What's the plus or minus 1.3, 1.06?
That's
he's saying
it's
the variance due to the
standard deviation, or
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 grams.
So a difference of 4.39 grams. Let's call it 4. That's fine.
Okay. So that would be about what's the equivalent of 4 grams? Like a paperclip?
No.
Like a quarter? Like a quarter?
A quarter? People, what do you think?
Let's see. Equivalent of 4 grams.
Jose.
0.008 pounds.
Jose says, how much is 5 divided by 0? Ask Riley. You are welcome.
So with a 1,000 mile per hour lateral speed difference, we have a 0.008 pound.
Okay,
difference.
so now here's the science. What's predicted?
I have no idea.
Okay, so personal
That's
incredulity has no bearing here. Your
right,
personal incredulity, it doesn't.
0.008 sounds like standard error of deviation. I mean, that sounds like something that you would get anyways, right? Like, for whatever reason. I mean, the thing's already constantly moving because of the vibrations. Like, what's the speed? Are they going the same speed? What if simply increasing the speed of the plane had some weird effect on the weight, right? I have no idea.
Yeah.
How did they take that into account? How did they take all the factors into account? Were they at the same altitude? Could the pressure, well, I guess if they're in a plane, the pressure would be the same, so maybe that one wouldn't work. But you see, my point is...
Hold on. I see where you're going here, and you're grasping at straws, though. Pressure doesn't really change mass. Temperature doesn't really change mass, right? So
well,
here's
no,
the
I'm
deal.
not saying it's changing the mass. I'm saying it's either pressing more on that object or pressing less on it.
Pressure doesn't do that. Doesn't change the mass.
Pressure doesn't push on things?
Pressure does not change mass.
I didn't say it changed the mass. I said it could push on the mass heavier or more.
But it's not going to change the measurement. You take that scale, you put it into a chamber, and you evacuate as much air as you can. Right? And then put it into a different chamber and add pressure, double, triple, quadruple the atmospheres in there. You're not going to get an appreciable difference in the measured weight.
I would like to see that test. I wonder if anyone's done that, because you're talking about, was it 14.7 pounds per square inch of pressure at the surface?
That's because it won't appreciably change it, because it's pressing the same on everything in the chamber.
Well, but it's not pressing the bottom of the mass because it's on the scale. So it can only be pressing it from the top.
I'm not.
And the side.
This is remedial science. I'm not going to go there. I'll only do that with Flat Out Hero, and I don't know why I do that with him. All right, go on your own time. look up to see if pressure changes mass. Okay, I'm not going to do that here. These things are known, right? It's not magic. So here's the deal. Do you want to do the math to find out if that's predicted because of the difference? All right.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, I'll look it up here. So I have.
Okay.
I have notes. I have lots of notes. I try to organize them, but there's still lots of notes. So, wrong one. There's actually a couple nice websites to that have these calculators on them. So I've done them myself. I have some spreadsheets that do all the math myself, but then I use the regular websites to confirm, to spot check stuff. So where did I call that? Lateral speed. Duh, didn't have it. There it is. I found my notes. Good. So, the website. Distance to the center of the Earth using WGS 84. Oh, we don't need that one too much, though. So I did some calculations using the WGS 84 distance to the center of the Earth, compared it to the measured gravity ratings, and added in lateral speed, and the predictions are within less than 0.1% error. They have less than 0.1% error. All right, let's see. Radius of the Earth in meters. 6,371. Linear speed.
Wait, so hold on. Let me get this straight, because this isn't something I'm familiar with. So you're saying because in the ball model, because the plane is flying, quote unquote, in a circle around the radius of the Earth, that there's a centrifugal force that's trying to move the plane away from the Earth?
There's less centrifugal force and more centrifugal force as compared to being stationary.
That was a contradiction in terms. There's less centrifugal force and more. Explain that.
There is centrifugal force pulling you away, and you've maybe seen the spinning tennis balls or the spinning balls from flat earthers saying, this is not what we see in reality. We don't see the water flying off. It's silly because the centrifugal force is not that large.
You mean like there's like water in a bucket and they spin it around or something?
Yes. No, not water in a bucket. I mean water on a tennis ball, and they spin the tennis ball. And they say this is the claim. This is what ball earthers claim. And of course that's not what the claim is, because we don't claim it spins that fast.
Okay. So what evidence is there that there's centrifugal force on an airplane?
Well, we observe differences. That's how we do it. So here we see.
But that's just an observation. We don't have a cause for that observation.
Yeah, that we're doing science here, not pseudoscience. So we don't need to say we have to prove the cause first. We don't do that. So here
I can say it's I can make up one of a dozen things that it could be, and I could say, well, that is what it is. And how do we know who's right or who's wrong?
By testing predictions. right? So if you have an idea, let me know what it is, right? If you think it's something other than gravity and something other than centrifugal force, you come up with a hypothesis and we'll test it. That's what we're doing now. The hypothesis is, right? So this is real science, right? The hypothesis is that the centrifugal force will change the mass of an object due to when you change the lateral speed. Okay, I didn't say that super well, but all right, mass 0.5 kilograms. So here you go. Centrifugal force is in newtons, right there. And we'll change it to kilogram force. So there is at 800, 800 miles an hour, which is about.
Wait, where does 800 come from?
Oh, sorry, they're 700 about. Because
where does 700 come
because they're at 35 degrees south latitude.
I thought earlier you said it was 1300.
No, I'm taking the baseline here, the standing still on the Earth baseline. Right?
Okay.
So
okay.
That's step
then you
one.
add the speed of the plane, right?
Yeah.
Is that what
So
you're doing?
yeah. So here the centrifugal force is kilograms in force, which is different than kilograms in mass.
Okay.
So station on Earth.
Oh, by the way, is it MC Tune or MultiT0mt0m?
MC. I'm the worst rapper in the world.
Oh, I got it.
So, all right. So there is the linear speed of 700 miles an hour, radius of the average radius of the Earth, right? So so this is going to be stationary on the ground. I don't know exactly where he took the on the ground measurement, but it's not in the video that I saw there, but it is in his other video that Wolfie did. So there you go. Now, when he's in the plane there, he's an additional 35,000 feet, which is, I'm going to convert that from feet to, we're doing all this in meters, 1,000 or 10,668 additional meters. Right, so then we add that to 6371000, and we get our height. I did that wrong. Six, 3, 7, 1, 0, 0, and 10,668 gives us 638. Sorry, people, if this is a little dull, but sometimes math is. There you go. So now that's about the altitude of both planes, assuming 35,000 feet. The slight differences will make only slight changes to the calculations. So linear speed. So if they're moving 500 miles an hour one way, that's going to put the linear speed at 200. Okay?
Okay.
So our kilogram force that direction is that. It's smaller. And then when we travel the other direction, we're at 500 plus, was that 700? 1,200 miles an hour.
Right.
There you go. There you go. So the difference, we've got 0.0022 and 0.000063.
Okay.
That's the difference in kilograms force.
Right.
So let's do the math there. 0.8657. So there you go. A difference of 0.002 kilogram force. So, all right, where'd we go on the video there? We saw a difference of, and I lost that number.
What we just called it, 4 grams.
Yeah, 4 grams. So this is predicting 2.2 grams. There you go.
Okay.
So it's our rough
So
math.
would you say that 50% off is accurate?
That 50% off the error in our rough calculation?
No, the prediction, the math of 2.2 grams versus the reality of 4.2 grams or whatever it is.
Yeah. What about it?
I'm saying it's 50% off of the prediction.
Yes.
So is that good science?
It's pretty good, being that we don't have a whole lot of the exact details.
Okay.
Now, here's the question to you then. What's the alternative? Let's do the math for that.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it more. I'm too tired right now.
Here's the thing. There isn't an alternative, right? It doesn't matter if you go pressure, if you go density and buoyancy, if you go electric, if you go whatever. None of those other things actually have a single prediction for what the acceleration due to gravity is going to be. Not one of them, right? So we just calculated and got an actual number using these, this back of the envelope math, right? And we got numbers, but never once has there been one prediction from any flat earther about what gravity would be replaced with. Nothing, right? Sleeping Warrior, he says density and density differential. Okay, let's do the math. He doesn't have any math. He can't come up with anything to predict it. So we have with gravity, and we can use the formula for gravity, and we come up with 9.8 meters per second squared using the formula for gravity. And when you take into account things like the lateral speed at different latitudes and the WGS-84 distance from the center of the Earth, add those in, and we get an accuracy matching the International Gravity Standards Network from 1971 standard. That's less than 0.1% error. And never once has any flat earther come up with any idea, anything that actually would produce a prediction. And that's science. You make you come up with a hypothesis, right? And then you test it. And does it work or does it not work? And nobody has come up with a hypothesis yet to replace gravity. So it gets dismissed because there's no evidence. Right? So Sleeping Warrior has nothing. He goes on and on about his egg experiment, right? And he didn't do any of his calculations. He didn't do any predictions. But I can do the predictions for his experiment using gravity and the formula for buoyancy that includes gravity. You still there, Chris? Maybe your computer crashed again. Bob, so the science guy here, I saw that you were talking that you were going to do maybe a Riley-style experiment using actual math. That would, I've thought about doing that as well, using an egg and displacing the amount of water and then measuring the actual volume of displacement. So, Gleam, I thought you were going to bed. Gleam, always picking fights, man. What happened to One Love, Gleam? I don't know if you're Gleam. I don't know if you're even listening to me or if you're just laying in bed chatting it up here. I've done that. Let's see what people are saying here. Experiment. Yes. My kids have a friend who loves the puns. So let's see. We'll get off of this page here. He's always about the puns, and he's always he loves the egg puns. All right, Junior. Let's be nice to Gleam. I tell you, I like Gleam. I haven't been watching to see if he's getting angry or something here. Sorry, but I don't have the Marty Moose. He's seen my angry side. Yes, I've gotten angry. Sorry, it happens. Ask my family; they know. Yeah, you know the I'm classically trained in physics, right? I did not do a lot of Einstein style relativity stuff. It's not very necessary for undergraduate level electrical engineering, which is what I did, what I studied.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I wasn't talking to you, Alexa. C4. This is ecstatic. So anyway, I didn't do a lot of that. When it comes to me, I look at gravity. I see, well, there's 9.8 meters per second, and per second squared, and that's measured, and it's predicted using Newtonian gravity. It's predicted with Einsteinian gravity too. They do not contradict each other, but it's much more practical for me. So, Lemonbird. Gravity has never been seen to cause things to, I think you're saying, orbit or form balls. Electromagnetism has, though, like the neutral electromagnetic ether. Well, yeah. Sorry. It has been shown to have things to orbit, and that's what Kepler noticed and documented while watching the orbits of the moons of Jupiter. So if you're Lemonbird, if you're going to attempt to replace gravity with electromagnetism, then do it scientifically. What is your prediction? Right? We have a thing made of plastic right here, right? What is the electromagnetic force going to be pulling it down, and why? And if it had a wire connected to it, electrically grounding it to the earth, why would it continue to fall? And why wouldn't things just float if you're in a Faraday cage? There's a whole lot of problems with saying that it's electricity. CGI pen is CGI. CGI falling is CGI. So, guys, be nice to Gleam. Yeah, let's scrutinize the flat Earth model. How the hell can the flat Earth have two celestial poles? Can't. So, well, this is fun. It's been good. I'm glad that Chris Berry joined. I guess. All right, Lemonbird. I'd go with electromagnetic orbits, quantum locking. No. Do real science. Formulate a hypothesis. Right? Put together your prediction. Then do the test to see if the prediction matches. Right? You've never got to that part. You've never once formed a hypothesis. No flat earther has. Sleeping Warrior, I'm talking to you. What is the hypothesis? What is the calculation, the predicted calculation that is going to make stuff go down? You got nothing. You got nothing at all. You say difference in density. Okay, then how does it work in a partial vacuum? The same. Bobby Shafto, did you already talk about John D's latest? Oh, no, I didn't, Bobby. Hey, everybody, Bobby Shafto's here. Have you guys subbed to him yet? You better. You go click on his name here. Hold on a second right now. I'm going to do that. Go to channel. Bobby Shafto is fantastic. I was just today reading a conversation between you and good old Tom Bishop, where he just denies everything. There is Bobby's page. Go right now and sub to him. Some good stuff. All right, so Bobby, what were you saying about John D's latest? Is it worth going over right now before signing off? All right. What's his page or his YouTube channel? John D, the egotistical doctor, narcissist. I mean, the doctor. Oh, he's got a long video supporting Sleeping Warrior. It's long. Okay, well, maybe you won't go over it. Dr. John D, there it is. Let's see. Thank you, Bob. Oh, an hour and 22 minutes. Yeah, I'm not going to go over that. I'll watch it on my own time and forget, and I'll do the quotes. Yeah, Doctor. Who was a Flat Smacker? Here's another one. You guys, have you Flat Smack? Maybe that's it. Flat Smack. He is the one I think that hold on, I'll find it. That went after Dr. John D. There it is. Yep. So here's another guy to sub to. Flat Smack. I'm gonna take back the name Flat Smack. And here's the video of him where he maybe hey Terry Davies, where he maybe identified that he's not an actual doctor. It's a pretty good one. So, all right, John, super chat from John Watson for £5. He said, "Yep." So, thank you, John Watson. That was a while ago. I saw that. So, let's see, a couple more housekeeping things, and then I'm going to wrap it up here. Gotta pull up my notes because I have notes, like I said, I just don't often follow them. All right, I did talk about Gleam's music, Gleam Royal Bloodline. Anyway, thank you for supporting me again. I constantly get people talking about just messaging me on Facebook and Twitter and email, just supporting me, and I love that. Thank you so much, everybody. I have some excellent patrons that have generously agreed to support me on Patreon. It's patreon.com/MCToon. And I have been thinking that I might put something on as a podcast. So thoughts on that? If you have any thoughts, go ahead and send them over. So that is that's all I have for tonight, people. I hear you're the worst rapper in the world, but we don't have any evidence for your claim. Yeah. All right, hold on. Now, I grew up with the Beastie Boys. And B-Ball for Life, you have a new video. Hold on. Is it something you think should be shown right now? Density column and freefall. Oh, you know what? It's 1:20. That's worth watching. We'll do that. All right. Did everybody sub to Bobby Shafto? Here is there audio to that? B-ball for life. Coming slow. Does buoyancy and density require a downward force? You got the accelerometer in there. Nice. It's 3-axis, so they're gonna sum up to 9.8. Oh! Dropped it out of a building. Awesome. And it leaked.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, right. That's alright.
You do a slow-mo, right?
I ain't worried about that.
I'll move forward to the slow-mo.
Oh.
Yeah, it went all goofy. Yeah. How does that work? How does that work, Sleeping Warrior? So, got another from John Rapp, 5 Australian, part of my entertainment/education outlet. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Chris Berry. We had a good conversation. Amy Hogan shows up just in time to be done. So, sorry, Amy. And so, people, Amy's awesome. I receive calls from from scammers all the time. Because I do email. I've done all the wrong things on purpose. I've done all the wrong things on purpose to get a fake email address, several fake email addresses on spam lists, and so one time I gave out my real phone number, so I get lots and lots of calls all the time, and I haven't recorded any. But I want to record some, and so I've worked on looked at how to do that. But Amy Hogan has done that a few times, and she has a few times that she's messed with some of these scammers, and so it encouraged me to try a little harder to record some of this stuff. So yes, so conspiracy thinking. There's a flat Earth model. There isn't. Lemonbird, there isn't. Flat Earth model, so they don't have anything at all. So, all right, that's what I have. Let's see. It's not a versus me, and we can talk and debate like adults. Yeah, I think Liam and I can have a good conversation. So, the Lemonbird says the aether's still in the vacuum. You can't evacuate the vacuum of aether. You first have to have aether, which has been already identified to not exist. So sorry. All right. That is what I have for this week. Thank you, everybody. And we'll catch you next time.